right entrepreneurs in front of me. It's a very rare privilege because our systems in this country, ever since the British left, and left behind an education system which taught us how to be risk averse. So we are a nation of job seekers. We are not entrepreneurs. It is a very rare privilege to be among entrepreneurs who understand the basics of adding value. The motto of entrepreneurs is 2 plus 2 should be 22 and not 4. The answer of a job seeker, when you ask him the question, what is 2 plus 2? He will always say 4. Because 4 is the standard level of mediocrity. So we must understand that when you are asked or given a figure of 2 plus 2, if you don't aim for 22, you cannot be an entrepreneur. An entrepreneur's description by fact is that he creates a value out of whatever it is given, which is more than the total of 4. It could be 6, it could be 8, it could be 10, it could be 12. But the value that you add is the capacity for risk that you have. So always remember, the second motto for an entrepreneur of your kind is the business of business is risk. And if you don't have an appetite for risk, you will always fail. So when everything adds up, there's always an element of risk which you have to own, enjoy, value, and thrive in. If you are passionate about whatever you do, if you believe in the value that you add, if you believe that your business that you're doing provides a service which is better than anybody else's, and you're willing to take that risk, you will always succeed. So if there is no appetite for risk, if you want to play safe, then get a government job. Why a government job? Because they can't sack you, you never have to work, and you can spend most of your time drinking tea. And if you are in a critical position, you get little lifafas under the table, which are much more than your salary. And if you're a bachelor, and if you become an IAS officer, your dowry goes up to 10 times what it normally would be. So if you don't have an appetite for risk, there is no point in being an entrepreneur, because you will be very middling, you will struggle all your life, and there will be no value adding because you don't have passion for what you're doing. And that is what is the driver. It's not profit, it's passion. Passion drives an entrepreneur. Profit is a side business. It comes automatically with creation of value. You see, not only is our system flawed as an education that you get, because you are prevented from as a child to be risk averse. They put fear into you. They put fear into you by starting with saying, Soja, go to sleep, otherwise Hawa will come and take you away. What is Hawa? Who will take you away? Why do we put fear into our children from the earliest stages of their life? And then proceed to reinforce that fear about risk on everything, whether it's water, whether it's animals, whether it's snakes, whether it's crossing the road, whether it's being alone, whether it's traveling on your own, whether it's adventure, anything is risk. And most parents are against their children taking even the slightest risk. They try and protect them all their lives with them and even after. That does not provide a climate for entrepreneurship. You have to have passion and appetite for risk. And for that, the bottom line is passion to add value to what you do. In today's world of digitalization, social media, cutting corners, building brands has become such an important part of your recognition. Because what is a brand? First, let me explain to you in very simple terms what is a brand. Brand means trust. Nothing else, nothing more. It is trust. It is trust in your quality. It is trust in your service. It is trust in your professionalism. And it is in trust in what you put out into the public domain in terms of what you claim you can do or what your product does, what your service does, etc., etc., etc. Basically, everything that you do to build a brand is to build trust, the bridge between your consumer and you, whether it's B2B or whether it's B2C. Is the building of trust. That they believe that the quality that you're going to deliver is consistent, is constantly going to improve, because you believe in it with utmost passion, and your profit is a secondary business. You are not doing it for profit. You're doing it for passion, because you believe. So if you want to be a genuine entrepreneur, you must first believe that what activity that you're doing, whether it's a service, whether it's a product, whether it's something like what the lady just said she was doing in genetic diseases, that there is a huge need in society for the service or the product that you are providing. Once you decide on what you are going to devote your life to, then you have to figure out which is the easiest, cheapest, most effective way to form a communication bridge between your consumer and yourself. How do you let hundreds of people who need your product or need your services know that you exist? And today's digitized world has made that at the click of a button. We have been in the process for the last 15 years. But the biggest factor in everybody's life today, especially young people, and I believe that the young people have already understood that, is that the only change in your life is change. We have changed more in the last 10 years as a society and as a country than we have in the last 100 years. So just imagine the kind of change that your parents went through was stretched like a rubber band. You go through that kind of change in a flash. Every day is a new day. Every day there is a new technology to understand. Every day there is a new way of understanding what you're trying to do. Every way there is a new bridge that you build to build trust in your business. And it works both ways. I'll give you a very small example. COVID, which was the death of many businesses, spawned so many new young businesses which are unicorns today. I believe unicorns. What is a unicorn? When you say unicorn, everybody just bandies the word around. A unicorn is a business that grows from a small scale of a neighborhood business into a national business, into a potentially global business. And the reason it grows so fast, how long ago was COVID? There's a business of rural business, a rural business. Two young techies, husband and wife, got together and decided that there was no market for the produce of the farmers to the demand in the cities because there was a lockdown. So in a lockdown, the government had actually allowed essential services to be actually allowed. So if you were an essential service, like food, like vegetables, like provisions, you were allowed to function. But everything else was locked down. So normally you would set up a shop and you would expect your consumer to come to the shop, which was the tradition. That is how this country actually functioned. It was very rare for a small shop, like a banya shop or a kirane ki dukan, to actually have a delivery service. You went to him or you talked to him on the phone and said, "Itna itna rakho, my servant will come and pick it up." And since you did regular business with the grocery shop or the kirane ki dukan next to you, he knew what brand you were trusting, what you needed, how much you needed every month, because it was an every month shopping. Malls had just become popular because they were offering you a 15 to 20% discount. So people who were willing to take a trolley, take a taxi, take a whatever it was, public transport, go to a mall, do your whole month shopping, put a trolley, lug it all the way home, was a completely new phenomena 10, 15 years ago. But today, a small business which decided that farmers were suffering as much as consumers, decided to bridge that gap between the farmer and the consumer. And they called themselves a name which everybody understood. It's called Kisan Connect. Have you heard of it? How many people have heard of Kisan Connect? It's a Mumbai-based app right now. And what they do is they're a farmer aggregator. Like Uber is a vehicle aggregator or a taxi aggregator. They're a farmer aggregator. They have thousands of farmers who come to a depot, which is a collection point, with their produce. Every day. Every day the produce is collected, sorted into premium, middle, and not so premium. And the premium is offered to the consumers first within a day of it being harvested. Like all other, whether it's Big Basket, Geo, whatever, has a proceed. By the time they get their act together in terms of the logistics, it's 24 hours old. So what you call fresh vegetables are not fresh vegetables, they are 24 hours old. But what Kisan Connect gives you is 4 hours old. The vegetables are collected at 5 in the morning and they're distributed rest from 10 in the morning onwards after sorting. And when people, a lot of their advertising actually and their trust was formed by word of mouth. When my wife discovered Kisan Connect, she told 100 of her friends of how good the produce was, who told 100 of their friends how good the produce was, how efficient they were, how quickly they delivered, and how outstanding the quality of the vegetables were that were delivered to you. They became, COVID ended, they grew. Nobody went back to ordering vegetables from logistical systems that took 24 hours. Kisan Connect grew exponentially from a desire to fill a gap during COVID. And then they decided to add value-added products with them. So all the stuff that they didn't sell, they made into products. They took milk products, they made chas, they made lassi, they made all kinds of things. And because there was no middleman. They cut out the middleman completely. The consumer got vegetables at 30% less than the market price. The farmer got a profit with 30% more than what he was getting in the mandi. So it was a win-win situation for everybody. So if you can start with a rural, urban connected business like vegetables and provisions, it's the most difficult logistical issue in the world, especially in this country, because of the connectivity. You're connected by digitalization, you're connected on the phone, but you're not connected physically. This is a physical product, it's not a digital product. It's a real product, you consume it. The other brand that, which is amazing, which also started during COVID, but started with a social concern, was that this country believes in God. Whenever you are in trouble, you believe in God more than when you are not in trouble. So when you are not in trouble and you're doing very happy and everything is going well, you tend to put God on the back burner. But when things are not going well, which is most of the time, then God becomes your go-to person. Not your computer, not anything else but God. And your pujari, who has then been languishing in the shadows when everything is going well, suddenly becomes greatly in demand because he is your connector to God. He is your telephone connection to God. Or so he claims. That he is going to connect you to your God, whatever it might be. And what is your offering every day to God? Which is the single largest agricultural produce after grain, rice and wheat in this country? Flowers. Flowers which you offer to God on a daily basis. Right? So when the flowers are over, you chadhao the flowers in the morning and evening comes, what happens to the flowers? Does anybody know what happens to the flowers? What happens to those flowers? Because every day fresh flowers come, no? You don't put basi flowers for God because he might not listen to you. Right? So what happens to the flowers that are left over? Has anybody any idea what happens to those flowers? Have you ever thought of the amount of flowers that are wasted every single day in this country and where they end up? Where do they end up? Funnily enough, nobody has ever given this a thought. They end up in a plastic bag and thrown into the rivers. So the flowers in themselves are biodegradable. So they're not so bad. What happens with the plastic bags? They clog up your entire environment. They clog up your waterways, they clog up your oceans, they clog up your rivers, they pollute everything in their sight. They kill animals, they kill fish. So what did these two young people do? They thought of it, the young IITians, and they said, what can we do with these flowers without them ending up in our rivers, in our oceans, and in our pollution in little plastic bags? So they decided to do some R&D. They realized that flowers, regardless of how old they were, still had a perfume, an essence. So if they sorted out the flowers by identity, they could make the second best gift to God. What is the second best gift to God after flowers? Incense. Agarbattis. Okay? So they decided to extract from the flowers, the extraction and make them into agarbattis. And wow, they took off. Look at the benefit that it has done to the environment. Forget about everything else. Look how pleased God is with them. God is so pleased with that gift, that everyday flowers, and collecting them and turning them into incense and recycling. And the plastic is then not put back into the environment. It is recycled or whatever else it is. Nobody uses plastic anymore because they come and give it to their depots. They collect it from all over. The company is called Pool. Look at the name. Not Basi Pool, not yesterday's pool, just pool. And what do they make from this waste product? Incense and perfume. And they are a unicorn. So if these two examples sit well with you, and if you understand the business of trust, which means brand, and if you understand that passion and value adding is what makes an entrepreneur and not the bottom line and not his profit. And if you look at every success story in the world, you'll find 20 to 25 failures before it. The character of that passion is courage and the ability to take risk and fail and not give up. If you can fail and not admit failure, you are an entrepreneur. Thank you.